I was supporting a retreat where we had 15 men looking to grow themselves as men. And by and large, the focus of the retreat was uncovering their own uniqueness, the kind of thing that they've known about themselves their whole life, but perhaps for various circumstances have forgotten, been disrailed by work or relationships. Those kind of core beliefs, values that really underpin who they are, rediscovering that, really getting some clarity around what that is. Their mental game, so the habits, the tactics, the tools, the strategies that keep them focused on their vision, their big picture vision, their monthly actions, their weekly actions, their daily actions. And through this process, my job was to help people manage their state. We talked about the kind of states that we can get in as being at one end of the spectrum, fully activated. So we're in this, I've got to get stuff done mode. We call it the sympathetic nervous system. The extreme end of it is you've got a threat in front of you and your nervous system goes, I need to focus on that threat. So our vision becomes very narrow. We then start organizing at a metabolic level the energy to deal with the threat. And the classic kind of response is we're going to fight the threat or we're going to flight from the threat. So we're going to hightail it out of there, or in some cases we freeze. Now, at a cellular level, what's happening is your body's producing the energy, the blood sugar, to do that fighting or flighting. It's moving all the blood flow out into the periphery to the muscles that would do fighting. It's shutting down digestion. It's shutting down non-essential things like the immune system. And there's a bunch of hormones that float around to achieve that. And at that extreme end, that's a really helpful, valuable, well-organized system that we should all have access to. Problem comes when the other end of that system, what we call the rest and digest mode of the nervous system, or parasympathetic. So think of it as being a complete opposite of what we just talked about. So blood flows from the periphery back to the center of the body, to the digestive organs. Our body's organizing itself to assimilate nutrients from the food we're eating. So all the chemistry of digestion is ramped up. Our immune system is activated and on and scanning and dealing with threats as it sees them. And that is, again, a normal function as well. Now, ideally, we can rock from here to here really effortlessly. What we see regularly with people who are either engaged in a very stressful business or going through a stressful period with relationships is we get really stuck in doing just this. So maybe not 10 out of 10 fight or flight, but we are that end of the spectrum. Our nervous system is spending a lot of time down there. And when we come to things like eating, like sleeping, like making decisions that are big decisions, if we are not in this space here, or even just effectively be able to move to a balance point between the two, a place of poise, then we find, one, our decisions aren't quality when we're over here. They're very short term. They're not thinking bigger picture. Our digestion is really down regulated. So our body starts being able to absorb less from our diet. Our immune system is constantly off. Maybe you've had that experience where you've had a pretty busy period of 10 weeks and then you finally go on holiday, you switch off and you get sick on the holiday. That's a sign that that immune system wasn't monitoring what's going on. We switch off that need to be in fight or flight. Body goes, right, now we're going to get business done with the immune system. So we were just bringing this to light for these people. And I think it's appropriate that we, in our community, one, recognize those two states, both normal. The ideal is that we can flip from one to the other. We're not stuck in one. We're not the drifter just cruising. We're not fully activated all the time. We can swap between them in a 24-hour cycle. How do we do that? Well, we can rely on external things to influence us. So big shocks like the pandemic can move us very quickly from one to the other. Big external shocks like car accidents or trauma will do that. External drivers of it, I think, are pretty obvious. But did you know you can also drive it internally? You have a couple of levers that you can pull to change this. And you remember I mentioned that in the fight or flight, our vision goes very focal when we've got a threat. So in the old school, the hunter-gatherer us either has another tribe coming to try and take their stuff, and they need to be focused on that target, and it's a proper fight. Or there's like an animal coming in to threaten their existence. So they are, again, focused on that animal. So your vision organizes itself around the target and tracking it. So one simple way to actually move the nervous system from here to here is to change our vision. Now, by changing our vision, I mean moving our vision into the periphery. So what I've done here is I'm bringing my hands back to the point where I can no longer see them, and then I'm just bringing them forward just to the edge of that periphery there. And my attention is focused on the fingers as they're moving. So my eyes are looking straight ahead, but my attention's in the periphery. And the hard thing about this is for me to actually talk and have a dialogue while I'm doing this, because the process of taking your attention out here makes it very difficult for you to have an internal dialogue. So with me now, try this. Start by staring at the screen. Take your fingers in front of you to start them moving, and you're going to keep looking ahead, but you're going to keep your attention on the fingers. So you're just putting your attention out to the side, out to the periphery, and having those fingers just gently moving to just give you that target to put your attention on. And you'll notice that there's something really interesting that happens with your mind. You can't run the same internal dialogue or thinking while you're doing this. Brilliant. Even just 30 seconds of that will take the nervous system from there to there. So that's vision. That's one idea. The other idea is, who's heard of forest bathing? Forest bathing sounds wooky, right? But there's really good evidence that when you're out walking in nature, it doesn't have to be a forest, could be the beach. When your eyes are moving left to right, you're kind of doing a scan, but you're doing a lot of peripheral scanning as well. That movement and walking can reset the nervous system. So a 10-minute walk in nature will do the same thing. It'll move you out of here into here. So you could either sit in the office, do the fingers, or get up, walk out in nature. You're going to get the eyes moving and changing. Now, if we stack something else on top of that, not just our vision, but our breathing, we can really ramp this up. Now, there's lots of different types of breathing. You're probably familiar with the Wim Hof style of breath. That's all over the internet. That's a very activating kind of breath. So that's getting the body really ramped up. I want to share with you some other types that we can use as well. So different types of breathing we've got. We've got box breathing, a 4-7-8, alternate nasal, an equal breath, and a real focused exhale. Now, the impact of some of these breaths I've listed over there in the column on the right. The interesting thing about these breaths, and we noticed this on the weekend on the retreat, some types of breathing work really well for some, but not for others. It's really kind of unique to your nervous system. And I think it's probably something to do with the state you're in, how you're wired genetically, and just a unique physiology that's part of you. So way to work this out, what works for you, is to actually try them, but you need to give yourself a reference point. So what I like to do, because I know when I'm breathing poorly, I'm not breathing with my diaphragm. I end up breathing like this with my accessory breathing muscles. Now, these are the muscles that you'd breathe with in a really acute, focused fight or flight mode. So if you had a threat in front of you, you would be making sure that you were breathing really quite quickly. It would be erratic, but you'd be using these muscles here. Now, the impact of that is they get quite tight. So as a check-in for me, before I try a type of breathing, I kind of go, right, well, what's my neck range of motion like? So I look over my shoulder. what I'm doing here is I'm checking in my periphery what I can see that way, and I'm checking what I can see that way. I also check this, looking back up as far as I can, and I just check going forward down like that. What I'm feeling for is tension in my neck, those neck muscles that are associated with accessory breathing or stress breathing. Now I try a breath cycle, and typically 90 seconds is enough for you to work it out. And I want you to do this with me. So we're going to try box breathing first. Box breathing is pretty simple. I imagine a box. So I'm inhaling for 5 seconds, hold for 1, exhale for 5 seconds, hold for 1. And I just repeat that. So with me now, and ideally the inhale and exhale is all through the nose, guys, if you can do that. We're going to go in, hold, out, hold, 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 in, hold, out. Brilliant. You get the idea. So let's check. What's my range of motion like now? Well, mine's definitely better. Box breathing. It works for me. Not going to assume it works for you though. So let's try 4, 7, 8. Now think of this one as a nose inhale for 4 seconds. We are holding for 7, and then we're exhaling for 8 and repeating that. Now on the inhale, it's nasal, exhale through the mouth. If you struggle with a 7 hold and an 8 exhale, feel free to bring it back to a 6 hold, 7 exhale. That's by the by. The most important thing is the rhythm of what we're doing there. So if you're ready, we're going to go in for 4, hold, exhale, in for 4, hold, X for 8. In for 4, hold, out for 8. In for 4, hold, out for 8. About halfway through that, I always have this feeling of well-being rush through my body. So how does 478 work? So that's even better for me. That's it. Nice. Cool. So let's just go on with the next one, which is an alternate nasal breath. Now, some people are going to have one nasal pathway that's a bit easier than the other. If you've got one that's genuinely blocked, that does make it difficult. Sometimes I find that if you move your head, you can actually make it open a little bit, something to do with the sinus drainage there. So if you have a blocked one, try it. If you have two blocked ones, forget this for the moment. But essentially, we're going to inhale and exhale just through the sinus. We hold one, inhale, close it, exhale through the other, and then we swap over. So I'm going to hold my left for right side inhale, and I'm going to exhale through my left. I typically keep this at a 5, hold for 1, exhale for 5, hold for 1. When you're ready. So we're going to go inhale. Cool. Let's check it out. How's that doing for you? So that one definitely does not work for me. No, nowhere near what I got for the 478. And perhaps you're starting to notice this as well. There's definitely some things that work and some things that don't. Next is equal. This is basically just keeping a nice rhythm of inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. So it's 5 in, 5 out. So the rhythm is the most important thing. So let's go. All right. Bit of well-being from that one. All right. Yeah. And then for me, that's got me back to where I was with the 478. Great. The last one is the focused exhale. So this is emptying all the CO2 out. And I typically try and go for an exhale that's 12 seconds. When it comes to the inhale, I don't force it. I just try and let it be very diaphragm. The fact that I've gone for that forced exhale of 12 seconds, I've had to recruit the diaphragm to get everything out. So there's quite a bit of elasticated muscular pressure ready to just go. So typically it's just letting your diaphragm go to inflate. But we're really getting all the CO2 out, normalizing that, and then getting a whole new bunch of O2 back in the system there. I typically do just 3 forced exhales. We do more, we can get a little bit dizzy with what's going on there. So it looks like this for me. I'll inhale just a normal breath through the nose, and then it's an exhale forced through the mouth. Yeah, that definitely does some changes. And that's probably the best for me. Was it the, stacking it equal with the force exhale? I don't know, but what I've worked out is nasal at the moment doesn't work for me. Box is okay, but 4-7-8, equal and forced exhale, those three, they're three levers I can pull to move my nervous system from here to here. So I guess take home is one of those is going to work for you better than the other, or there might be two or three that you find work. No one knows you're doing breathing exercises. You can disguise it quite well. So you can use this anywhere, anytime. The other thing is you're going to take 30,000 breaths a day. We haven't met anyone yet that can't do that. So taking a moment here and there just to have some focus on the type of breath can do a really amazing thing with your nervous system. And if you're thinking, when can I use this? Well, if you've got some focused work that needs your attention, that needs you to be in the right state, something that's to do with creativity or some heavy decision making, that's a great primer to say, right, some breath work before that. If you're doing some more creative, bigger picture, blue sky thinking, then that's a great time to have that nervous system in that mode there. So if you look at your day and you're starting to plan the day in the morning, if there are moments coming that you need to be in that optimal spot with your nervous system, breath and vision, you can stack those two together. So I'll often do the 4-7-8 while trying to be in the periphery, and the two together are incredibly powerful. Obviously, don't do it driving, don't do that one walking, do that one seated in a safe place. Start to build a toolkit for yourself. I'll find myself in the surf if it's busy, if there's some big surf that I'm not comfortable with. The breathing is really powerful for keeping you in the zone there. Any other sport that you're doing, if you're doing a workout or you're crossfitting, or this can bring you back during a session as well into the right space for your workout. It's a tool you've got access to. It's free. Your system is wired to listen to that type of breathing. And if you've just been through this and worked out what works for you, my challenge to you is at least once a day, can you get that type of breathing in play and help optimize your state so you're going to be in a better position to make good decisions, or just be there listening for someone who needs to have a conversation. Right, team. Have a great week. See you soon.